Our society's double standard with this is just ridiculous. Calling Lizzo an empowering role model while calling 50 Cent at the Super Bowl fat. What? Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Before we get into it, I just wanted to share why I make these videos. Being an athlete is my life. It's all I think about every day. How can I become a better alpine ski racer? Because of this, I'll admit, I have my blinders on with regards to a lot of things that are happening within our society. So when the trans athlete issue became part of my world of women's sports, I thought it was my duty to stand up and protect the thing that I love most, not only for myself, but for other women and girl athletes. And the more I started learning about this issue, which is seen in the evolution of my videos, is that trans athletes in women's sports is just the tip of the iceberg of a much larger societal and cultural phenomenon of division and destruction. So my goal with these videos is to try to find unity in our current society and culture of chaos, because we are unwilling to have honest, truthful, and respectful conversations about certain issues. And this scares me about the future we are creating. Now, regarding this video and feminism, I am extremely grateful for all the hard work that courageous women have done to allow women to vote, own land, enter higher education institutions, and all the freedoms and opportunities and choices we have today and we enjoy today as women. But we need to have an honest conversation about what feminists and certain women's groups are fighting for today, and if it's actually truly benefiting women and society.
Why do we have the expression, that's a man's job?
Because certain things are a man's job. Because it's like, why gotta take the trash out if there's a man in the house?
Right, so I'm just saying.
Or lift heavy things.
Well, is it fair to say if you want equal privileges, you need equal responsibilities?
No, I want, why is responsibility split equality?
Because you gotta
I'm just trying to get equal pay.
Because you gotta take the bad with the good. Why do I do all the extra shit if I can't, why can't I have equal pay? Don't you have to take the bad with the good?
No, you do not. We should have equality, period. You see what I mean? You know what I mean?
I don't know what that means, and I don't want you to keep going.
Initially, if I understand correctly, women were fighting to attain equal rights to men. But recently, that goalpost of equal human rights keeps moving and shifting to have a different meaning. So my question is, what are we fighting for as women? I think women, myself included, have been so programmed into this belief that we need to be sexually liberated and independent and take back control of our lives, that we've lost the value of being a female. All the things that make us women, our connections and relationships with men, and mothers, our desires to have children and a family. Sometimes we need to step back to look at things from all sides to determine if what we are fighting for makes sense. As I've said, my purpose is unity. And if we want to achieve that, we need to start having honest conversations to try and move forward together. In this video, I want to highlight certain double standards of women, which I think are not only really hurting women, but also men and society. Men and women have very different athletic capabilities. That's the truth. It's biology and facts. The issue is when you're trying to substantiate equal pay for lower generated value. Sure, you might have an NBA player and a WNBA player with an equal amount of game time per year. But the question is the value generated from that game time equal? We created women's sports because we cannot physically compete against men with an added level of danger in contact sports. This decision to divide competitive categories based on sex comes with penalties, one of them being pay. And this is where the double standard arises, because we want our own category of women's sports, which I am 100% in favor of, but some women also want the same pay benefits as men's sports.
It's one of those things that we are not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
What these women's groups conveniently ignore are the differences in viewership, sponsorship, advertising revenue, broadcasting contracts, merchandise sales, and other higher value economies that men generate, yet still complain and demand equal pay. This just makes women athletes look irrational, delusional, and privileged. The key issue is the value generated, regardless of sex. All athletes should be compensated based on value, period. The body positivity movement is almost exclusively directed towards women. Why is that the case? We celebrate plus-size women and models while men are still expected to be fit, tall, and muscular. Our society's double standard with this is just ridiculous, calling Lizzo an empowering role model while calling 50 Cent at the Super Bowl fat. What? My problem is not the fact that people are overweight, but the glorification of an unhealthy lifestyle that gets perpetuated amongst younger generations that not only leads to medical complications and a reduced quality of life, but also shortens one's life expectancy.
Life is too short to worry about these haters like your heart, blood vessel, joints, and sugar level. To hell with those haters, you only live once. So keep feasting and increasing. The sky is the limit, girl. More fast food grease to your elbow. After all, something must kill a man or a woman.
Do you ever get dressed and just be like, damn, I look good? I did today.
And the double standard is that on the male side, the fitness demands are so high that it's naturally impossible to achieve and maintain those standards, forcing some men to use exogenous hormones and other drugs to achieve this extreme physical state. The last few decades, we've experienced some pretty good times, which has allowed women to become increasingly independent, and in Western societies, for the most part, enjoy the same opportunities and rights as men. But the problem arises when some women take that independence to an extreme, claiming men are useless and that women no longer need men. And this is where the double standard arises, because women make these statements in buildings men built, using devices men invented, running on power men generated, and inside economies that men largely manage. Women are happy to cherry pick men's roles during good times, but as soon as things get tough, women revert to traditional roles and want men to help, defend, and support them. For example, in Ukraine, with the Russian invasion, women and children were protected and expedited out of the country or to safe areas, while the men were mandated by law to stay behind and defend their land. A responsibility those men of Ukraine were mostly proud to accept, and likely made life easier knowing their loved ones were out of harm's way. Was this equality? Did we treat men and women as equals? No. But it was the right decision. In good times, sure, some women might think we should be treated as equals, but it's in hard times that the truth and reality shows itself. In hard times, women are not treated as equals to men. For the most part, we are protected, supported, and defended by men. The reality is, women need strong, courageous, and capable men. Similar to my last point, certain women and feminist groups demand equal representation in certain jobs, but not others. For example, women demand more C-level representation within corporations in cities, but not manual labor jobs in underground mines, offshore oil platforms, or commercial fishery vessels. The double standard is that women only want equality in safe, clean, non-physically demanding or dangerous jobs. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with women wanting the comfortable jobs and telling men they should do the physically demanding, dangerous jobs. But let's not make an argument for equality based on those facts and decisions. What I will say is that in pursuing a C-level role, if women put in the same amount of hard work, dedication, sacrifice over decades of time, and bring the same value, competency, and qualifications to the hiring table as men, and are still not being hired, then that's a problem. But we can't just look at CEOs across the Fortune 500 companies and a list of their board members and assume sexism because women are not equally represented. Yes, we should have more women in companies in positions of power, but a company shouldn't only want you because you're a woman to fill a quota. It needs to be earned. Furthermore, if there's 10 times more men equally qualified who apply for a job, of course there's a higher probability that a man gets hired. It's just a numbers game. Feminist groups also conveniently ignore that very few men reach the C-level in organizations. Many men suffer the same glass ceiling of promotion stagnation, even when they're qualified for those roles. Regardless of sex, across all types of organizations, including in sports, those who generate the most value should be compensated accordingly. Because if they are of high value, the organization is incentivized to keep them around by paying them well and keeping them happy. If not, they can just take their value to another organization that will pay them what they're worth. The issue is that both males and females overestimate the value they deliver relative to their income. If a high-value employee feels like they're being underpaid, but chooses not to ask for a promotion or find a better job, then that's on them. You cannot blame the phantom patriarchy for what is your personal responsibility. Women are celebrated for having high standards and a long list of demands they seek in a partner. But if a man has preferences, it's seen as sexist. For example, it's empowering for women to want a partner who is tall, fit, has a nice smile, dresses well, has a good job, drives a nice car, etc. But men suggesting they are attracted to women with large breasts or a big ass is sexist or creepy? I just don't get it. Someone please explain this to me in the comments. But these days, women demand that men support body positivity and should love women at any size. While women also idolize the most fake, body negative woman alive, Kim Kardashian, who has had God knows how many surgeries to change the appearance of her body, done extreme diets, and used extreme weight loss medications. And before you start hating on me in the comments saying that it's only men who idolize her, I can tell you it's not men who are buying Skims and watching their reality show. When it comes to selecting a partner, men are pretty simple. Yes, initially they are attracted by visual beauty, but in a long-term relationship, they just want a woman who is respectful, loyal, feminine, and fun to be around. Men are often happy to date down if the outcome is a woman who will give them an easy, fun life with a great family. Women, on the other hand, often show up with a long list of demands, go through an extensive vetting process, and have preconceived expectations about the relationship dynamic. Women generally date and marry up, seeking superior, more powerful partners. And still, most relationships fail and marriages end in divorce. And maybe women should take a cue from men and recognize that the bad boy is fine for a one night, but the good guy is the one you want to marry. One of the goals of modern feminism is to remove traditional gender roles, empowering women to behave like men, mirroring the same male behavior feminists call sexist. But modern feminists also want to maintain these gender identities because it allows women to be treated as superiors and receive preferential treatment. Essentially, women should be independent and treated as equals until the bill arrives, because that's what men do. This double standard is widespread. Women should be sexually liberated and feel empowered sleeping around, but men doing the same are immature and have commitment issues. Women should reject being feminine and instead embrace their masculine energy, while men still need to be masculine, but in touch with their feminine side. Women should be financially independent, but expect men to pay on dates, for drinks at the club, and for special occasions. Women should have their own careers, but shouldn't have to cook, clean, and take care of the household. At a bare minimum, these are shared roles. But men with their own careers are still expected to be the handyman around the house, mow the lawn, and take out the trash. Men should support women's desires to wait to start a family, but women hate when men go after younger, more fertile women. Women can publicly disrespect men and say violent things towards men without any accountability. Women can sexually assault men without consequences, but if men assault women on any scale, they are publicly shamed, lose their jobs, lose their status, and can be criminally convicted. Divorce arrangements often favor women, giving them custody of the children and financial support. Today, in Western societies, women have more opportunity and privileges than any other time in history. But what do we do with that power? Let me be clear, it's not all women, but some do treat men like garbage, like dispensable objects for their entertainment. And the worst part, women do it to gain social status and adoration on social media.
Nah. It turns out lots of people can relate to wanting to just be really mean to misogynistic men, and that's essentially what it is I do. I seek them out, I platform them just to solely humiliate them, and then I go about my silly goose tasks for the rest of the day.
Promoting the behavior to other women and younger generations. It's just gross. As I mentioned in the intro, my goal is to have honest conversations about issues affecting our society. And right now, I see a growing divide between men and women that's having a negative impact on millions of people around the world. Too often in these types of conversations, only one side of the argument gets discussed, which leads to further division. As a woman, I think it's important to be brutally self-reflective and acknowledge our contributions to the problem. And I would hope men do the same in efforts of trying to find common ground and resolve our differences in efforts to move forward stronger together. To end this video, the last thing I will say is let's just try to be more respectful of one another. And remember, we are all just humans with the same desires of belonging. If our desire is progress, we need to be willing to sit down and have the honest, difficult conversations with those we disagree with. Agreeing to disagree just doesn't really exist these days. And that just creates these echo chambers that get propagated without checks and balances. That's dangerous. I try to approach everything with an open mind, and I'm willing to change my mind if there's enough evidence to support it. But to just be stuck, not willing to grow and learn from others, especially those with different ideas, is very limiting. I am learning more every day as I research these topics and listen and read other people's opinions and perspectives, especially those I disagree with. I think it makes me a better, more understanding person. That's it from me on this video. I would love to hear your thoughts about double standards and if you think they are harming society. And if you've changed your mind on things, how was that initiated? Thank you so much for watching. I have new videos every single week. If you like the work that I do, please give it a big thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm get it out to more people. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.